All right, hey, this is Beau from BEAU'D Not Broken, and I think we're looking okay. We got Dustin here. I'm going to pull this thing over. That's the miracles of live television. We're here at the facility we call what facility would we call this?
This is called the intensive outpatient facility. So we're here in the boardroom where they hold the meeting. Right now we're averaging about 4 to 6 clients. They come here and we have 2 offices right here down the hallway that you can scan those in a minute, but they get individual therapy here.
Right.
They get their one-on-one therapy, and then the opportunity to, after they've been up to midway, done residential treatment, or sometimes that's when they go in and they realize, hey, I've got a problem, and it's kind of what we talked about before, is the use to abuse. And then to kind of chemical dependency. They're kind of at that intermediate stage between the abuse and the chemical dependency. They realize that there's a problem,
right,
but it hasn't gone on for long enough to where they need the medical attention, they need all those different things in residential treatment that provides.
Right.
And it's kind of the stabilization. They know if they had the support, they'd stop. If they had somebody to talk to, they could work through some of the things that are causing them to go out and continue to use.
Right.
And they have a support group here. To kind of come and share some of the things that are going on in their life, and allow them to see things from other perspectives, from other people
Right.
that have gone through very similar things, or people that aren't going through similar things, but
Right.
they can think, wow, I'm lucky, right?
Right.
This person over here is losing their family, losing their job, losing having medical problems, and I'm still ticking, but
right.
I'm just struggling, right?
Right, exactly.
So there's so many walks of life and so many different experiences, but I think that's the group component where they can kind of
sure
engage into that group.
They can see that everyone is a part of that group.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world is a part of that group. You're watching the Daily Bend, and we're here in Lehi, Utah, just out to the point of the mountain, kind of near. Well, we're kind of if anybody's watching from outside the United States, we're in Utah, but beautiful area, brand new area. Anyway, I had Dustin on about 2 months ago? Was it a month and a half ago?
Yeah,
something like that.
It was
and it almost felt like, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this than what we got to talk about. We talked to him about his story, and his story is well documented on the show, on the Daily Bend, one of the shows about a month ago. My point is we wanted to come back. We was very, we were texting back and forth, and I think he's somebody that we're going to, if he's okay with it, we're going to have on a regular basis, because this is something that, we've been doing push-ups for suicide awareness. We've been doing, we've had people on that have had addiction issues. All these issues are just all in one. Yeah. It's one of those things where I wanted to make sure, and so he's going to become a regular, I think, every month or so we're going to have him on, and I really wanted to have him on, maybe tell a little bit of snippet again to kind of rehash that whole thing about you. You don't have to go forever, but also maybe talk about some successes and a success that really could motivate someone that's watching, or someone that as a parent. You talked about your mom, and that's the thing that stuck with me. Mom's tough love and all that. Yeah. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
No, to go through some of my successes, that obviously my mom was a big piece, but ultimately is my wife. My wife stuck by me through some really hairy times, and I had the opportunity to reach out to people that are in very similar situations, sometimes very different, and I try and give them the perspective of this is how what happened to me, and if they can grab on to that part of my story and relate to it and connect to it, that's what I enjoy doing. That's why I enjoy being in this industry. of addiction recovery. I enjoy, talking about recovery and gaining the awareness to the people. Like you said, we're doing, there's a lot. I was just thinking of it before you walked up. I don't think that I think it's very, very respectful, right, of what we're doing for the push-ups and the pull-ups for our soldiers, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of those soldiers, we need to gain the awareness. We need to gain the education of how do we help them? Mm-hmm. How do we stop them from getting to that point, right? And creating more avenues of treatment, more avenues of education to the general public of these are the kind of things that these guys are going through. Like I said, one of my buddies just did an independent film called Man Down, and it very much focuses on that of what
has it been. It's released or gonna be?
It's gonna be released.
Man Down. Wow.
Yeah, I'll show you some of the snippets of it, and something that I'm sure would be very interested in being
awesome.
on your show.
That'd be awesome.
And the things that he's learned from that. My success is obviously coming from my family. They are my foundation.
You let me stop you for a minute. You're very successful at what you're doing right now, but I'm 100% sure that you could have gone a different direction and were potentially going a different direction, either in the business, in other business ventures or whatever, and would have probably and were doing quite well, but you chose to kind of come back to this. Talk for a minute about that and that lesson for you and what how you reach out to people in that sense.
Well, a lot. Ultimately, it is after you've done what you've done and you've sat down with somebody and you've had that life-altering experience with them, right? That connection with them where they now are able to make a better life for themselves, and you had somehow you were a role in that, or a part in that,
right?
And not saying that having any other kind of job isn't valued, isn't valuable, isn't but for me, it just created so much intrinsic value for me, and a big part of my recovery to help me stay sober and stay focused. That that job satisfaction was very important to me, and so many times when I've been able to be a part of somebody's success story, there's a great feeling in that, and being able to be a part of that, and being able to sit across the table from somebody when they come in and they're broken, right, and then and have them see a little glimpse of their potential, and just show them that they're worth it, right? You're worth being loved, and telling that for them.
And you are an athlete, so and there's a lot of athletes out there too. But you're an athlete. You see that in humans from being an athlete. You see the potential of all those kinds of things. How do we get people to reach out? And first question, how do we get people to reach out?
Yeah.
How do we get those folks out there, or those parents that want someone to get out there, or friends that they know they have, that someone has a specific addiction issue or many addiction issues? How do we get people to come to the right place, to your place, how do we do that?
You can go to our website, Aqua Recovery, ACQUA recovery.com. You can instant message me on Facebook. You can, check out our website, call that number. If you send me an instant message, I'm more than willing to talk to family. My company has made it, available if there's some type of intervention that's needed.
Right.
We can help with that. We can work with the family, because ultimately when it comes down to an intervention, it's the family that needs, those that are trying to help that need to be coached, right? They need to all be on the same page, that we have the same message, it's unified, we're together, and this is what we know because we love you and we want to help you get the help that you need, because we can't sit by and watch you do what you're doing.
Right.
And you're destroying your life, and it's affecting everybody else that's in your path. And so being able to have them have a unified voice and unified message together as a family or as loved ones, that takes some coaching, because there's always Aunt Jane or Uncle Steve, like, no, they're fine, they're going to be just fine, just let him go, he's having fun.
Give them a couple bucks and send them on their way.
They're, as soon as they see that, they go right to them.
Prevalency of addiction, I guess of any type. You're a guru of that. I mean, what do you? I mean, everyone probably potentially has some kind of addiction, but what is it like in Utah? We hear all the statistics, and we hear all the prescriptions and alcoholism, whatever, drugs, all that kind of stuff. What's your is it an epidemic? Is it something that we should be? I mean, we're trying to find ways to talk about anything all the time.
Yeah.
But is it an epidemic?
I would say absolutely. The use of opiates is an epidemic at this time. I think if people were to take a hard look at themselves and or their surroundings of people that they love, statistically it says that 1 of 2 people have somebody in direct relation with
1
them.
in 2.
Yeah, it was 1 in 4 about 2 years ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just learned something. As the ex-cop, I know there's a problem, but I knew it was a bigger problem, than ever before. But 1 in 2, that's me and you sitting here.
Yep.
One of us, one of us had or has an issue.
Yep.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you wrap yourself around that? How do you wrap yourself around that and not want to just, stand up like Moses and, come everyone and let me save you. I guess that's the biggest thing is the more we talk about it, how do we do that? How do we get people to?
It's definitely a I guess a double-edged sword, right? Because in order treatment in a lot of aspects, there's a financial side of that, whether you have insurance or don't have insurance or have the financial situation where you can go into a treatment facility.
Right.
Some people decide to do it their own way, and it works for a little bit, but ultimately there's something that is causing that pain, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, that's continuing that cycle of that person going back to that addiction, that addictive behavior. And whether it's pills, whether it's shopping, whether it's eating, whether it's sex, whatever that is, that behavior is, it stops for a certain amount of time, but then it goes back into that cycle.
You're watching the Daily Bend, and we're here with Dustin, and we're talking about addiction. We're talking about drug addiction and all kinds of different types of things that go on. I think I asked you this before. Maybe I didn't ask it in the way that I probably should have asked it this way. There's no one way to have someone in therapy and for them to succeed. But there has to be certain I guess benchmarks in everyone that you see that does recover. I mean, do some people recover after their first time in, or is it multiple times, or does it depend on the person and the type of treatment? I mean, because there's a lot of treatments out
absolutely.
there, right?
So there's this is just plain statistics that somebody goes into treatment, they most likely will relapse 4 to 5 times.
Okay.
So after they have their first year of total sobriety, right? That's the first benchmark.
Okay.
Right? 60 days is the first benchmark.
Right. Okay. 1
year is okay. We're doing good, right? Your body's starting to get into a normalcy, right? And your neurons are kind of all firing back on. And then at 5 years of total sobriety is when they say that the kind of the cemented time where, all right, your body your mind, you've kind of got yourself dialed in.
Right.
You've created new practices, new ways to deal with stress. It's a stress-induced disease.
Mm-hmm.
You've found better ways to manage that. You've surrounded yourself with good people.
Right.
You're gonna have stress. You're gonna have life, but you have healthy ways to manage that. You still maybe continue to see a therapist. There's a lot of different things. A lot of people think and feel that yoga is a very good outlet and enables them to kind of center themselves and calm themselves down and de-stress. Some people is working out, some people is video games, some people is fishing, golf, whatever that is. They find a way. As long as I'm doing that regularly, I can kind of bring myself back into my chi and
my zen or whatever. Yeah.
So continually doing that, and they say that at that 5-year benchmark is kind of where that takes place. Now, it's not at that point. Now I'm good. I can go have a beer and I'm going to be fine. It's at that point you have solidified in your mind that this is who I am, and that I've created practices and consistency around my sobriety to maintain that.
Right.
But and I think, when you say, what do I want to do, or 1 in 2 people, it being an epidemic, really, as I've tried to go out in the communities and making, doing things like this, doing things with the schools of just educating, right? People just don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And until they hear it or understand it, or it falls in their lap and they think, oh crap, I gotta, how do I help this person?
Right.
They just don't know.
I think a lot of times people think that it doesn't affect everyone, and it does. It's almost like we've been doing the suicide prevention stuff. It affects everyone. I mean, we've had so many situations, but as far as addictions go, you see the I mean, when you go out to visit people, I mean, obviously your message changes in a little way, your presentation changes, but when you go out and you talk to somebody or you talk to a group of people, what's your basic message to them?
Yeah. My first message is kind of the steps of addiction, right? Is a lot of us start with the use, right? I'm just young and I'm having fun and I'm just drinking or I'm partying and I'm smoking a little marijuana, and that's just kind of common use, right? And then it goes to misuse, where I'm drinking till I pass out, and I'm drinking on a Wednesday night, Thursday, and a Saturday night. And then it goes to abuse, right? Or now, like I'm doing it when I wake up. I'm doing it during the day. I'm doing it, in order to go to sleep. I'm mixing. I'm matching. And it kind of starts that whirlwind, where it creates your functionality. Now there are what they call functional alcoholics or addicts, where they can go to work and they're functional. They live a daily life and they hide it. They feel like they're playing 007 and they're hiding it from everybody. Sure. But it goes to chemical dependency, and at that point, they can't imagine their life operating without it. Right? They wake up. That's the first thing they think of. During the day, they're obsessing when my next hit is. And to put it in perspective, if somebody was to walk up behind you and put a Walmart sack up around your head and pull it on the back, the state of anxiety and panic that would create for you is what an addict, once they run out of their drug of choice, is what they feel. It's that panic that set in of what I got to have my next hit, right? Because they're worried about withdrawal and all those things. And so my next message is a family member, right? Johnny comes home, or my wife, and they seem like they're at rock bottom. If they showed up on the doorstep, I've got nothing, I haven't eaten in 3 days. Can I come and say, well, sure, come on in, we'll feed you. And you do it once, right? And they wake up after 3 days and they've fed and they've had some rest, and all of a sudden some of your jewelry's gone, right? Or grandpa's gun is gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And wow, what happened? Oh yeah, I loaned it to a buddy, and he's going to give it back. Well, it's at the pawn shop,
Right.
And they did that so they can get their high,
Right.
And so that's the state of. They don't care who it affects. They don't care who they're going to hurt. They don't care who it offends, because it's a very selfish disease, and they're going to get. And once that happens once, hopefully you then learn and draw that boundary. I'm sorry, but if that's that life that you choose to live, I can't have you come home and
Right.
me be subject to your bad choices, your bad behavior. If you want to get help, let's figure out how to get you help. And then, but then it happens a second time, and then it happens a third time, right? And then, what do I do now? Now I'm angry, right? I'm upset. I'm starting to create a lot of animosity and contention in our home for this, around this, and I just don't understand why they would do this to me. Well, then you're in this state where their decision making, their choices are not there. They're not. It's not them really doing it. It's the disease. It's a brain disease in the brain,
Right.
And they're going out and doing everything that this disease does, and it destroys homes, it destroys lives. And there's one thing I learned very early in recovery is there's 3 options. Once you understand this disease and the disease of addiction, is you go behind bars for a very long time, you end up in a grave, or you get in recovery. Those are your 3 options. If you try to run and hide and think you're going to do this, eventually one of those 3 things will happen.
Right.
And it's unfortunate how many friends I've lost to this disease. It seems to claim more and more,
Right.
Every time I see something on Facebook, or I get a phone call that another friend that struggles with the disease has passed.
Right. Just get you. Does that get you even more motivated to?
It does. Continue? It just strengthens my message, right? Of families that draw those healthy boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. It's not that you're not loving them. It's you're showing them that these are the healthy boundaries that I have to have in order to protect myself, but in order to also protect you. So you understand that that's not okay.
Right.
Right? That behavior is not acceptable. And so in order for you to be, I want you in my life, I want to love you. So in order to help you and love you, let's get you help. And let's find a way to create a healthier atmosphere, a healthier relationship for us, right? Because then, a lot of times when a mom or dad brings the son, okay, now what are you doing to help yourself? Because now they're going to come in, they're going to get treated, they're going to come into treatment, they're going to come back home, and you still have all those harbored anxiety, the feelings, the anger, the frustration, the animosity towards that individual, and they're going to come back, and you're going to still have that you think that they just went to Club Med for 50 days, and now they're all ready to go and be chum, and you're like, no, you really hurt me.
Right.
So I encourage the families to, and we have a family day up at Aqua Recovery as well.
Don't they? Aren't they a part of that process as well? Because I've heard in the past, that we talked to Michelle, we talked to Lori, and they've been on the show, and their shows are cataloged.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that when Michelle said, she had to go into that situation as a person looking at her husband, and then them saying, or her saying, I remember she said, well, there's nothing wrong with me, and that wasn't the thing. It was she needed to learn how to deal with that and set boundaries.
Exactly. And
I think, for people that are watching, I think today's biggest point would be, maybe to motivate someone out there that might be dealing with someone that has that kind of thing to begin to set the boundaries, whether that's pushing them into recovery or trying to do whatever they can, or maybe they're in recovery already and setting those boundaries, or maybe talking to somebody that no, look, you really need, like your mom. I go back to his mom because that story is indelible. He's out of it. He comes to the house. He's got nothing, no food. He hasn't taken a shower. If I'm getting this wrong, tell me. And she goes, in a way, she just goes, sorry, You're not.
I hadn't even got to that point. I'm saying that's what happens in a lot of cases.
Right.
I hadn't got to that point. I never stole from my parents. Never. I had a job.
That's right. Mom
just said, I know what you're doing, and it's
right.
not acceptable to be going on
right.
in my house. That's an agreement we made.
Right.
And you're outside of that agreement, and those are the boundaries that we set. And so I'm sorry, you're in violation of that. So if that's the life you want, go and have it. But it's not going to involve us.
Yeah.
And so that was
so many people that I've talked to have reached that point where I guess that's where it came in was they've reached that point where they've taken them back in and they've done it again and they've done it again and again. That's not healthy for you.
No.
I'm not a clinical psychologist, but that's not healthy for them at all anyway.
No. It creates, because unfortunately, you don't know what they've taken. Mm-hmm. You don't know how much they've taken. Mm-hmm. And you love them, right? And you want to be there for them, but do you understand what to do when somebody is overdosing in your house? We want to call 911, obviously, but, we want to get them to the professionals that understand what's going on. Get them to a detox center. Get them to an ER so that they can assess, okay, this is what's going on, and we should proceed in this direction. Reaching out is obviously the very first step of becoming educated, understanding what your options are, and then just talking to your loved one or figuring out yourself. Yeah, I think it's about time and that's in my stages of the message that I carry of understanding the disease of addiction, the family drawing those healthy boundaries. And number 3, there's a better life. There's a better life for you out there. There's a better opportunity for you to have those memories with the ones that you love and allow them to sink into your heart and connect with people on a real level and have real memories, not foggy memories, not memories under the influence of drugs or alcohol, where, yes, it's a good time sometimes, but there's a lot of times where, because of the result of drugs and alcohol, those that could have been good memories end up fatal, end up disastrous, end up non-memories at all. So there is a better life out there for you and your loved ones, and to understand that, especially being here in Utah, when I drive home every day on Redwood and look around and see the mountains, I say, man, we are blessed. We are blessed to be surrounded with such a beautiful place. And I hope when you go home to see your family or the things that you love and cherish, and you look around for a minute and think, wow, I'm blessed. I'm grateful for what I'm surrounded by. And, and if you're not, I encourage you to do that. Surround yourself with good people. Find that one thing that inspires you, that allows you to get up in the morning, that allows you to be motivated.
I think the last 3 minutes or 4 minutes, there needs no more. We don't need that. That was great. Thank you for. There's a lot of passion in that. I hope, as we started out, I think maybe what I'd like to do, I don't even discuss it here. What I'd like to do is maybe once a month, maybe you would have a topic that we need to know about, or that you're trying to, get to the masses, or to the people that need help, or the parents, or whatever it has to do. Maybe we can do once a month, whatever you feel.
Yeah.
Just like that last there's nothing better than the last 3 or 4 minutes. That's if I can provide a venue for you to work that kind of magic, that's what I'd like to do.
Well, and if there's anybody that has any questions, if I can answer any questions, somebody that is struggling, somebody that's going through a certain scenario, that I can, with the best of my ability, and I do have resources from, obviously, our amazing doctors and medical specialists from Aqua, but also through the recovery community, there's a lot of really, really amazing people that do great work. And if you have a question, you had a concern about a certain topic involving recovery, involving addiction, involving something that I can help with, I'd love to come on and talk to you about it.
Maybe send them, Dustin. So I think, I don't know if a month's going to be good enough. I think maybe after 2 or 3 weeks, we might want to do that. And I keep messing up. We might want to do it that often. And so send your questions to him. You can send your questions on, after this has been posted. But I think that's the way we need to go. That's what this show's all about, is people helping people. And if we can affect one, that. If we can affect one person, then that's all that matters.
Yep.
So more to come with this guy. More to come. More good stuff to come. And thank you for watching today, the Daily Bend. And we'll be with you again tomorrow. But again, this guy's going to be on. We'll talk about when we go off.
I'm excited.
Something that's
Bring
strategic. So something that's strategic and hard hitting, and want to make sure we keep this thing up. So again, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot
Absolutely.
again. Appreciate it.